there are so many more variables this offseason or this summer / going into the offseason than in years past with new TV contracts, media rights splits being negotiated, schedule changes with new markets, potentially international after what happened in Chicago. Like there's so many variables out there now that there's just more moving parts. And there's been reports Corey LaJoie, it sounds like, is finalizing a deal to stay at Spire despite having maybe getting interest from larger teams, which makes everyone wonder, hey, what's Spire cooking up over there? We've seen reports from Adam Stern, Sports Business Journal, that charters are expected to go for over $30 million. Do you think that's a high estimation, Brennan? Is that accurate? Is that even low? It feels like charters these days you're just making up value at this point, but that's crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to the demand, really. But no, I mean, I think they're probably worth quite a bit more than 30 million as it stands right now today. I think
Wow.
that's probably a little low. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I look at the TV numbers. I really think the health of the sport right now is really good. I mean, we're selling out crowds. We're selling out campgrounds. I mean, Pocono didn't have a campground. I mean, they sold the campground out before they sold out the grandstands, and then they sold the grandstands out. But I think that everything is headed in a positive direction as far as how things are working on the fan side of things. I think,
Yeah.
I'd still like to see some changes with the cup car. And I know there's a lot of other drivers talking about it too, just trying to make the racing better. Like, we're shifting at short tracks, for crying out loud. Like, there's just some stuff that we don't need to be doing, but I think NASCAR's aware of all that. And I think changes are coming. So I really think right now, everything's going great for the fans, for the
Feels that way.
sponsors, for the sport. So I'm happy. I'm pretty happy with where everything's headed right now.
Yeah. Not to get back into the weeds of silly season, free agency. I've been using both terms now interchangeably because I get comments in my videos that say they think silly season sounds too silly. This is serious. It's serious season. This is important. But with all the unknowns of in your talks, and you obviously can't go into any super deep specifics, but in talks you've had with teams about next year and beyond, do they bring up the unknowns of the TV contract? Do they kind of know what to expect from TV, what they want from sponsors? Do you get the impression team owners and Cup, Xfinity, et cetera, know what to ask for? They know what to expect, or are they also kind of are those unknowns going to slow free agency down this year?
I think it's a really good question. I think that's a really, really good question.
Well,
I would say, Xfinity and trucks, I think all the team owners there pretty much know what to expect. I don't think much is going to change for them on purses and things like that. I know there was a talk of streaming an Xfinity Series, but I think those talks have died out. I don't know. Some people are like, no, they're talking about it again. I'm like, I think Xfinity should be on TV. I don't think it should be on a streaming service. I just think it should be on TV. It should be accessible to everyone at all times. I just think racing they need to do everything in their power to keep it that way. But, I think as far as the TV deals go, I think the Cup guys, the top Cup owners, I think they still are not positive what's going to happen. I think there's hopes that it's going to be bigger and better, meaning more money for the teams. And I think there's hope that NASCAR I don't know if they are. I think this is just from their discussions, that they might open it up a little bit more than what it's been as far as sharing more money with the team. So I think there's some where the teams are kind of feeling that. And I think that's what's driving some of the price of these charters too, because it's a business. And if they are expecting, and this is all, people are trying to buy these charters before this new TV deal and this new stuff comes out. So, and as people buy in, the number just keeps climbing. But I think they're hoping, that the TV deal is going to be big, and it's going to end up being more money to the Cup team owners that have charters.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if and when, because those agreements could be made any week now. I think everyone would hope, and so I guess that's why it's you hear LaJoie signing a multi-year deal, Haley signing a multi-year deal, but Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex, they don't have anything on paper for next year yet. They're still, I don't know. It's just, I can't tell yet if all that uncertainty is going to slow things down this summer going into the fall, or if it's going to speed things up, or if everyone's waiting for the domino of the TV contract being signed to fall to really solidify things. But
if you're a guy like Denny Hamlin or Martin Truex Jr. and you have sponsorship money attached
that's true.
to you,
they're in their own category.
You might be waiting for that TV deal intentionally to fight for a bigger salary.
Yeah, that's a good point. They
might be waiting intentionally for that, but
it's the NASCAR version of holding out. Like maybe that is right. Like Truex keeps saying, "I got to come to a decision soon. I got to make a decision soon." And then he keeps pushing it out and out and out.
Yeah.
Then think about that.
But if you're a guy like Corey or Justin Haley, job security is the most important thing to them.
Good point.
They want to be racing and they want to know they're racing. So they're at a disadvantage on some of those negotiations because the teams know that. And I know Spire wants Corey to stay, and I'm sure Corey's happy to stay there. Everything's going great for them and they're going in the right direction. But so he's probably wanting to be there. So him getting that opportunity, having that security, that I think that's a no-brainer for him. But if you're another guy where you're in a different position where you've got sponsors that are sticking with you and you're waiting to see how this is going to shake out, it might be better for you to wait, because a guy like Denny Hamlin or Martin Truex, they have the ability to do that and still be fine.
It's all about leverage, and those are two guys that are championship contenders, big sponsors behind them. They have leverage that Justin Haley doesn't. I mean, exactly. That's what it comes down to. That's very interesting. That's a great point. I hadn't actually thought of that the last few weeks, but that is good stuff. Brennan, I guess we should bring in Daniel Hemric now. I know you guys are good friends. Daniel Hemric, obviously a NASCAR Xfinity Series champion. I know Brennan and I have talked about free agency and the difficulties of finding that next opportunity. You've been with Colleague the last 2 years. Colleague's been in the news lately. I know with Justin Haley announcing he's going to Rick Ware next year. So I guess my question for you, I don't know what your deal with Colleague looks like, but looking ahead, we talked about the journey, the next destination, the next part of the journey. How does Colleague fit into that? And does, the Justin Haley news or anything like that, does that affect your future plans in any way, shape, or form?
Oh gosh, man, I feel like, anything that happens like that, there's always a domino effect throughout our sport, right? Like as big of the sport as we know it is and try to think that it is, and the pure amount of seats that are there is so small, right? So yeah, there's definitely a domino effect that does affect everybody. I don't at this point know it directly how it affects me, but I know there will be something. That's the fun part about the journey, right? You never know what's next.
Yeah.
I definitely don't know what that is. I can tell you that middle of 2021, prior to winning the championship, Matt Colleague, Chris Rice had offered me a deal, and when I accepted that deal, it wasn't based off, hey, come drive for us for 1 year. It was based off, hey, we have a vision for 2024, 2025 down the road. And that vision is for sure what I bought into. And like I said, I don't know how Justin's deal is going to affect me directly, but I know it's good to be a part of an organization where there's opportunity, where there's for sure going to be growth. And when there's that in front of you and you're sitting there riding the horse still, that's a good place to be. So I'm hopeful that something works out. I don't necessarily have nothing, no ink on paper saying, hey, this is where you're racing at next year. But I know we're working hard to try to work it out. There's so much involved, within what happens in 24, right? We're talking about TV contracts. We're talking about the charter agreements. We're talking about, I feel like, the nod of, hey, I got the charter and the value of that is going just out of the roof now of, right, there's only so many of them, and I think that's a whole nother, you can talk for hours on that, but here nor there, it's just there's so much going on right now that I agree this particular silly season, I hate calling it that, this particular silly season is about to really get turned upside down, I do believe.
Yeah, I guess it's like more of a crazy season than it's not nothing silly about it. It's just crazy, but we call it silly season.
Bizarre.
It is.
Yeah.